In this course, we're going to learn how to make the arms and the legs of this character. We're going to start by creating a shape. So we're going to go to the pen tool, and we're going to go ahead and turn fill off, because it's just going to be a stroke. We can change the width later as well. But we're going to click and drag, okay, on this first one to create the shoulder. And then we're only going to do one other time to make the hand. Click and drag it out. All right, and that's our first arm, basically. We're going to get the stroke width to something appropriate. Normally I like to see the shoulders kind of working into the body there. And we're going to call this right arm. Before we do anything else, we want to get our pan behind tool and put the rotation in the right spot. If you hold Command or Control, it should pop to an area that you want it to be in. So if you hit Command, it'll kind of snap to that corner, okay? And that's where the shoulder is going to rotate from, the arm's going to rotate from. So now if we go to rotate, we can see it's rotating as we would expect it to. Now let's duplicate the arm, and this is going to be our right hand. And we waited to duplicate that because we want to make sure that that rotation point's in the same spot as the arm. Okay, so it looks the same right now because we've just duplicated it. So we're going to change the stroke to be skin colored, and we're going to change to a round cap, and we're going to add a trim path to it. Now we're going to toggle that down, and then go down to 99%. And now we have our hand. We can increase the stroke width. So that our hand's a little larger than our sleeve. Okay, so now we have that. And we'll want to parent this to the right arm, so that when we rotate the right arm, the hand will follow. We have the right hand layer parented to the right arm. Now we need to parent the right hand path to the right arm. Path. So let's scroll down to path, and we see we have that here. And then let's open the path on this, so we'll be ready once we hit the stopwatch here. So we're going to hit Alt Stopwatch, and we get these options. Now we have the parenting option. We're going to click and drag that over the path of the arm. So now, if we grab the actual path, we have our pen tool selected. We can select the end. It's going to follow. If we didn't do that, the circle would be in the same spot. The hand would be in the same spot. But now that we have it parented to the layer and the path, we can rotate this, and we can affect the path, and it will follow, okay? And so since we're not going to be animating the right hand, a useful feature is to use the SHARE layer. So it doesn't do anything now that we've clicked it. We have to toggle this option to make it disappear. So now we just have the right arm, and it's a lot cleaner. The only thing to worry about this is that if you start to move things around, say if you wanted his arms to go behind his head, and you move his right arm down and then rotate his arm up, his arm will go behind his head, but his hand won't. And because they're the same color, you won't be able to really tell. But now going over his eyes or his face, you can see that. So whenever you're using a SHARE layer, you want to make sure that if you're moving layers around, that you unSHARE everything so that you get the arm and the hand, and you can move them around, okay? You can duplicate this process for the other side as well. And a quick way to do that, we'll unSHARE this so we get the hand back. We'll just duplicate those layers, drag them on top together, and we'll rename them. And now a quick way to get it in the right position is to uncheck the link constrain proportions. And now we can say a -100 to flip it. We can hit P to get the position data and move the position over. We'll still need to make sure that the shape path is parented to the correct path. When you duplicate things, they might keep their parenting from the duplicate and not follow as you would want it to. Because see, right here we can see it's parented to the right arm, and that's wrong. We want it parented to the left arm. So we will click this and go down to path. Now it's parented to the left arm. Okay? So that's a really quick way to duplicate your appendages. So we'll do the same thing for the legs very quickly. So now we have our character. The only problem is when we move the body, his arms and legs don't follow. So we want to remember to parent the arms and legs to the body. And I'm going to hit the hide all shy layers so it'll be a little simpler. I can shift select them all and say parent to the body. Now they're all going to move with the body. How we actually animate the appendages are by keyframing the paths. So in the path, we can hit a keyframe and toggle all these down. And once we have all the paths keyed, we won't have to go back into all these menus after the fact. We can just hit the shortcut U and pull up the keyframes. So you can see it gets kind of cluttered here when you have to go through all those menus. We can close everything down and then hit U and it'll only pull up the path. So now we have a keyframe on everything. We have our default position. Usually want to save a default position just in case you need to go back to it. You can copy and paste it somewhere else. Sorry, but you'll need to do that by each layer. You can't do it as a group. And real quickly, I wanted to mention that this is not an IK setup. An IK stands for inverse kinematics, and all that means is that when you move the body, everything moves together. The feet don't stay on the ground, and the hands don't stay in their world position. One thing I would recommend maybe thinking about doing if you know you're going to do a lot of character work and you'd like that functionality, you could purchase a plugin called Rubber Hose. And when you click it, you get the little window and you can create a new rubber hose. And this is an inverse kinematic setup. And there's tutorials on their website that shows you how that works. But I just wanted to mention that as another option. If you want to have his feet stay on the ground as he walks around, or if he moves his body just up and down in some way, you'll have to keyframe every frame that his body is moving. And a good way to do that is to set guides. So you access the guides by hitting Command R, Control R. You can also get it from the View menu and say Show Guides and Show Rulers. And what that's going to do is when you're animating, you can have that snap to the crosshairs of those two guides. And so if I move his body down, an easy way to get his leg back into place is to hit that guide. And of course you want to bend his knee to keep the same kind of volume. But that's how you would do that. And you would make sure that you're keyframing that every frame. And snapping is done from the View menu as well. You can go to View, Snap to Guides. So to animate the actual character, we need to animate the paths. And we do that with the pen tool. We can see with the selection tool, we can't select it. So we need the pen tool And now we can pose out the character as we need it to be. And since we've parented everything properly, the hand should follow. And you can do this same idea with the trim paths on the hand to create short sleeves or shorts. You just add another trim path and parent the layer and the path to the main leg if you want to do shorts or short sleeve shirt. And that's it. And when you're creating your characters, before you create them, you'll want to think about what you're using them for. You don't want to create a character with a bunch of mouth shapes if they never talk. You want to be efficient in how you create your characters and what they're going to be used for. So if you have any trouble with this, you'll also have this After Effects project file to go through and see how I did everything. And don't forget about those hiding shy layers.